Look at the person you find most attractive in your life. Take a moment. Hold that image in your mind. Now ask yourself, where did that feeling come from? You didn't choose it. It arrived, fully formed. A quiet certainty that settled in your chest before your brain had a chance to weigh in. You've been told that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But what if that's one of the most comfortable lies your culture ever told you? Here's what the science actually says. Buried beneath your modern preferences, beneath your taste in faces, body, symmetry, and style, there is an ancient evaluation system running silently in your brain. And it has been running mostly unchanged for hundreds of thousands of years. Your ancestors judged beauty. They had preferences. They had standards. And the most stunning thing is how many of those standards you still carry right now today in a body that lives in the 21st century. So what did ancient humans actually think was beautiful? The answer is going to reframe everything you thought you knew about attraction, about art, about why you look the way you look. Start with the obvious thing nobody wants to say out loud. Symmetry. Your face is not perfectly symmetrical. Nobody's is. But the closer it gets to symmetrical, the more attractive most people find it, across cultures, across centuries, without being told why. This isn't taste. This is a biological read. Evolutionary psychologist David Parrott at the University of St. Andrews spent decades studying facial preferences. What his research found was both elegant and a little unsettling. Symmetry is a signal. It tells the observer that the developmental process that built this person went smoothly. No major infections during childhood. No nutritional collapse. No parasite load that disrupted the growing body. A symmetrical face is not just pretty. It is evidence. Your ancestors didn't know what genes were. They had no concept of DNA. But their brains were reading symmetry as data. The beautiful face was the healthy face. The attractive body was a surviving body. And that read is still happening in you, right now. Every time you look at someone and feel something pull. But symmetry only begins the story. Because beauty for ancient humans was never just about faces. Think about the landscape. There is a theory in environmental psychology called the savanna hypothesis. Researchers Gordon Orions and Judith Heerwagen proposed in the 1980s that humans show a deep cross-cultural preference for a very specific kind of environment. Open land, scattered trees, a water source in or near the view, gentle rolling hills, enough visibility to spot a threat, enough shade to escape the sun. This is not the landscape most people live in today, but it is the landscape your genome was shaped inside of. The African savanna, the place where the human line spent the longest and most formative stretch of its existence. Ask people across the world, from Tokyo to rural Kenya to suburban Ohio, to choose their ideal landscape from a set of images, and the preference clusters around the same picture. Not the dense jungle, not the barren desert, not the flat gray city. The open, park-like scene with trees and water. You didn't learn to find this beautiful. You arrived with it already loaded. This is why city planners discovered long ago that people pay more for apartments with trees outside the window. It's why hospitals with garden views have measurably faster patient recovery rates. It's why every major city on Earth, without exception, has carved out parks in the middle of itself. Your ancient nervous system is searching for home. And home, to the deepest part of your brain, looks like grass and open sky and the glimmer of water somewhere in the distance. Now go deeper. Go past landscapes and faces. Go into the body. The markers of beauty that show up consistently in ancient art and early cultures are not random. They are readable. Healthy skin tone, lustrous hair, clear eyes, a specific waist-to-hip ratio in women, approximately 0.7, that shows up across cultures and periods as a beauty ideal. A shoulder-to-waist ratio in men that signals upper body strength. These are not arbitrary preferences shaped by magazine covers. They are ancient shorthand. Anthropologist Donald Simons argued in his foundational 1979 work, The Evolution of Human Sexuality, that the traits humans find beautiful in each other are not culturally constructed from scratch. They are biological signals of fertility, health, and genetic fitness, and they were being read long before anyone had language to describe what they were reading. The waist-to-hip ratio at 0.7 in women corresponds to a hormonal profile associated with reproductive health. This is why it appears even adjusting for cultural body size. Preferences in ancient figurines, in Renaissance paintings, in the carved ivory bodies found at archaeological sites 30,000 years old. The preference is ancient. The body that triggers it is older than civilization. But here's where it gets strange. Because beauty for ancient humans was not only about health signals and fertility reads. There was something else, something more mysterious. Ancient humans made art. not to document, not to communicate strategy, not to mark territory. Anthropologists have found cave paintings, carved figurines, ochre-stained shells used as jewelry, geometric engravings in rock, all of it far predating agriculture, writing, or organized religion. The oldest known piece of intentional art is a cross-hatched engraving on ochre found at Blombos Cave in South Africa, dated to roughly 75,000 years ago. Before your ancestors were farming, before they were building, they were making patterns. They were choosing red pigment. They were decorating themselves and their world for a feeling that has no survival utility in the narrow sense, for the specific human experience of looking at something and feeling that it is right. Cognitive archaeologist Francesco Dorico has studied these early art objects extensively and argues that what they reveal is a mind capable of symbolic thought, a mind that could step back from the business of surviving and ask a different question. What does this mean? What does this feel like? What does this look like? That is the moment beauty became something more than biology. That is the moment your ancestors started doing something no other animal had done. They started editing reality, selecting it, composing it, making choices about what to amplify and what to leave out. And that capacity is still in you, right now. When you choose how to arrange furniture, when you pick a photograph over another, when you linger on a sunset for one extra second before looking away. But now here's the part that will stay with you. Because after all of this, after the symmetry reeds, the savanna landscapes, the carved ivory bodies, the cave ochre, something shifts in the record around 40,000 years ago. It's called the Upper Paleolithic Revolution, and nobody fully agrees on what caused it. In an astonishingly short period of time in evolutionary terms, the archaeological record explodes with art, music, personal ornaments, long-distance trade of decorative objects, carved figurines, and the first detailed representational paintings. The Chauvet Cave in France, the figurines of Hohlefels in Germany, the flutes carved from vulture bone. Something changed in the human mind. The capacity for beauty didn't just exist. It accelerated. It diversified. It became cultural. It became something that groups shared and built together and passed forward, because here is the truth that the biological story alone cannot tell you. Beauty is not just received. It is taught. Your ancestors began teaching each other what to see. They passed preferences between generations. They built aesthetics into ritual, into ceremony, into the objects that marked status and belonging. Beauty became a language, and like all languages, it began to evolve faster than biology alone could drive it. That is why you can look at a piece of abstract art from 3,000 years ago and feel something in it, even if the culture that made it is completely gone. Because buried inside that object is the record of a human mind reaching for the same feeling you reach for today. The feeling that something is right, that something is resonant, that something is inexplicably beautiful. Psychologist Dennis Dutton, in his 2009 work, The Art Instinct, argued that the aesthetic sense is a universal human trait, not a luxury of complex civilization, but a defining feature of what it means to be human at all. Every culture ever documented makes music. Every culture ever documented makes visual art. Every culture ever documented has a concept of beauty that goes beyond function. You are not an exception to that. You are a continuation of it. So go back to the person you were thinking of at the beginning, the one you find most attractive, the feeling that arrived before thought. Part of that feeling is ancient. Ancient symmetry reads. Ancient health signals your brain is processing without your permission. But another part of that feeling is something your ancestors built deliberately, over tens of thousands of years, by choosing what to pass forward. You are standing at the end of a very long curation. And when you look at something or someone and feel that quiet pull, that is not just you. That is every human who came before you, still deciding what is beautiful.